Hey yo people! Today we're here to talk about a really common question newbies have. What subclass should you pick? Bard. Everyone is going to tell you Bard. Always. If you're at the stage where you want advice on what class to pick because you're not sure, Bard is the correct choice. You're not always going to be new though, so over time the answer may change. So we're going to cover the other options too. And remember, changing subclass is completely free every 10 minutes in your skills menu. You can try anything you like without any kind of penalty. But first, let's talk about Bard. You may look at Bard and see first and foremost a healing class, but we're not just telling you to pick a healing class as a sub for the life support. I don't want to write that off though. If you watched my Ravager Awakening on my Fresh account, one of my main mistakes was trying to rely on lifesteal, which normally works a lot better for me on my main account because I have more damage, instead of making liberal use of Bard's healing skills. But if it was just healing, Bard wouldn't be everyone's recommendation for everyone's subclass. The big draw are the tunes. By stacking Tunes of March, by using healing skills, you buff your detailed damage and pen, with each stack being 6% detailed and 1% pen. This is one of the most important stats you will need to build in early game. And check out my video on how stats work if you want more information about how important detailed damage is. But needless to say, no other class is going to give you 18% detail damage and 3% pen for such a simple rotation of just use Ballad once every 12 seconds. Bard also has Ambient Drone, which is an AoE stun that does not require a target. Some classes don't have any stuns at all or only have single target stuns. Timing stuns can be key to mitigating damage if you use them at the right time to interrupt bosses' moves. And finally, though in the last class updates patch, move speed was added to many other class buffs, not everyone has it. Bard is the OG, an extra 10% move speed buff for half an hour when you like. It's just a little icing on the cake for you if you pick Bard. The majority of your damage isn't going to come from your sub-weapon skills, especially since they will have triple cooldowns of mains, and you won't get any weapon mastery effects or the weapon mastery skills. Some of them will have effects even on the base skill that do not take effect when you use them as a subclass. With that in mind, I hope you can understand that when every time you ask what subclass to pick and people tell you Bard, they're not looking down on your ability to survive by telling you to pick the healing subclass. The detail damage is one of the reasons why even players like me, that exclusively use Nocturnal Cores for healing, that is, a lifesteal's crafted subweapon, still choose to play as Bard subclass. But, of course, the most important thing about a game is to have fun, so if you don't find Bard to be fun, there's 17 other options for you to pick. Unfortunately, Starcaller and Dragon Nunchaku cannot be picked as subclasses. If you want a still on-meta but slightly more challenging subclass to manage, the answer you're looking for is Shuriken. With a slightly more challenging rotation compared to Bard's Just Use Ballad, Shuri has buffs for you and stackable debuffs for the enemy target, making it ideal for burst nuking on bosses. Here's how you do it. First, cast Shuriken Toss for a flat defense debuff and a chance to summon your Shadow Warrior. Second, cast Shuriken Storm for a 10% detail and 10% elemental damage buff, and a second chance to summon your Shadow Warrior. Third, use Razor Wind. This is even better if your main class's advanced skill mastery is lacking, because then you can use Crippling Wind to add a stackable debuff. You could choose to use either of the two Shadow Warriors. The cool dude, Slasher, will give you an additional 10% elemental damage, which will probably be better if you're alone and have lower elemental damage, or the cool lady, Dancer, who could inflict a damage taken debuff that will help your entire party's damage if you're not running solo. So, these 3 quick skills in succession, and then you can use your main class to nuke the boss. What you lose in easy self-buffs and healing, you make up in debuffs, making Shuri a good choice if you have high enough damage to handle your own personal sustain with just the Nocturnal effect. However, keep in mind that this rotation is intended for high-burst gameplay, as your uptime is much lower compared to Bard's 100% buff uptime. The next subclass option, which I do not recommend despite having used it for 10 years, is Guardian. Guardian as a sub provides basically zero functional buffing or debuffing. Its skills don't really fit into any rotation. There's only one reason people use Guardian as a subclass when they get to endgame. Roar carries. The skill Roar has a secret hidden effect. When the Roar status is afflicted on a boss, every party member will get the kill and drops, even if they do not hit the target. If you join a Roar carry dungeon run, you can wait at the entrance with the quest for the dungeon and let your carry yell at the bosses to get drops and the quest completion. Note that being able to debuff the boss, or rather target, with the Roar effect is key to making this work, so Roar can't get you drops on things that are immune to debuffs. That means it doesn't work on chests, and it doesn't work on the third boss in Winged Duke's Domain. That's a pretty specific example, but for future-proofing's sake, if we get other bosses that are immune to debuffs, Roar will not work. And a final note, there is a Guardian class complete rework in the future. Whether this will affect its debuffing or buffing capabilities as a subclass is still up in the air, but I have been assured that the Roar still works post-revamp. Those are the three main choices, but you're probably wondering why thus far I haven't even mentioned combo skills. The truth is, like Eidolon combo skills, most of them take too long and don't do enough damage to be worth more than just iframes when they come at the cost of an Envoy path node. And honestly, that's a huge shame. Combo skills have amazing animations, which is why I did my class skill compilation series. I love those skills in theory, but in practice, choosing a subclass for a combo skill is only recommended if you're going in knowing that the main purpose of using a combo skill is for the iframes. I actually do have one combo skill on my main bow character, Meteoric Arrow. I will never drop it, but I am fully aware that it comes at the expense of a damage node for my dark skill. I sacrifice a lot for Meteoric Arrow, but bow is one of those classes that doesn't have a stun, and Meteoric Arrow is an AoE non-target stun. Exactly like Ambient Drone. So I should really switch to Bard. But you know, there's a secret extra option. You don't have to pick a subclass at all. Once you have a subclass, there's no way to get back. But the quest that asks you to pick a subclass doesn't actually stop you from progressing until you have one. You can just push this little window off the edge of the screen and forget about it. You'll have to do it every day when you log in. There's no way to get rid of this window, but nothing will stop you from progressing. There is no benefit to being subless. You cannot equip anything in your second weapon slot. But everyone will think you are very cool and awesome and hardcore. I will anyway. Very cool. Cool points off the chart. Look how cool this player is. They don't even need a subclass. Anyway, with that out of the way, I hope you understand more about why everyone always tells you to pick Bard. There's nothing wrong with picking something else if it's more fun with you when playing, but the benefits of Bard are very real and it's easy to use for everyone, which I think makes it really conducive to fun. And just before I finish up here, I wanted to say thank you for all the support. At time of writing, I have just passed 900 subscribers, which is a number that seems very unreal to me. I appreciate you all for getting me 90% of the way to free fried chicken from my best friend, and I hope I can provide you with more support on how to get into this lovely old MMO on the right foot. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.